And I invite you to pay some attention to what's going on in your mind. Just noticing what thoughts and emotions are there, level of your energy, where your attention is drawn. And see if you can coexist with whatever it is that's going on in your head. Sometimes it's easier to do that if you bring your attention about 80% into your body. So finding about 80% of your attention in your body, welcoming, noticing whatever's going on in your mind. Now maybe with your attention in your body, there's less of an urge or less of an urgency to try to react to or respond to what's going on in your mind. Just letting it be, letting the sensations in your body be. And as you settle into your practice, start to notice your breath. You can notice the length of your inhalations, length of your exhalations. You can notice relative depth and relative ease of your breath. And then if you notice that one phase of your breath feels a little longer or easier than the other, you'll turn your attention to the phase of breath that feels shorter. So gradually inviting your shorter phase of breath to lengthen and match the longer. Then when it feels like time to you, begin to breathe with your Ojt Pranayama. You can let your tongue rest behind your top two front teeth, slightly lower your chin, slightly lift your soft palate. We'll create that long whispering sound at the back of our throats. And then when you feel ready to move, you can slide off any prop you might be using to sit on. Make your way down onto your back. So we'll plant the soles of our feet into the floor, roll down onto our backs, take our feet a little wider than our hips, and then you can squeeze your knees in towards each other. So we're actually actively using our inner thighs here. Arms can be at a comfortable distance from your body. Squeezing your inner thighs in towards each other, we'll let our knees move over to the right. And rather than just dropping your knees to the floor, let's see if we can squeeze left knee and trace it down the inside of your right shin, the whole way down to your ankle. And then you can rock your knees back up towards the ceiling, squeezing in, sliding your right knee down towards your left ankle. Squeezing in. So this is a little bit of an active movement. We're not just dropping knees one side to the other, we're actually using a little strength. Inner thighs, we're using core, we're starting to wake up the muscles between our vertebrae. And once you've done this an equal number of times to each side, you'll come back to the center. Let's head belly in, pick up our feet. Now we want knees over hips, shins parallel to the floor, and neutral position in your spine. So we're hugging belly in, maybe pressing low back a little bit towards the floor without tucking your tail too much. Now keeping pelvis level, keeping core engaged, we'll tap right toes down towards the floor. And then tap left toes down towards the floor. So almost like you're marching in place. Tapping your toes down, 1 foot at a time. The only thing moving is thigh bone in hip socket. Your core is strong and stable here. So let's do this a couple more times on each side. And then we'll find our way back to the starting position, bringing knees right over hips, shins parallel to the floor. Now let's lift our shoulders. Try to lift your shoulders by dropping your front ribs. So we'll activate our upper abs now, dropping front ribs, hugging belly in, lifting your shoulders, and you can place your hands behind your head. Rather than lifting with your arms though, rest your head back into your hands. So let's come back to our marching. And this time, the next time your right toes touch down, Your right hand reaches over to the left past your left thigh. And you can inhale back to the center and switch. Left toes tap down, left hand reaches past the right thigh. Coming back to the center. Rocking side to side like this. And this movement is driven by dropping your lower front ribs rather than by reaching with your arms or pulling with your chin. Do as much of this as you can by dropping your lower front ribs. Use your abs. When you've done this an equal number of times on each side, you can come back to the center. You can set your head and shoulders down. Let's set our feet down, taking feet wide. Now just release and relax your knees in towards each other. And we'll take 3 deep belly breaths. A chance to kind of unwind all of that effort that we just made in our abdominal area and in our hips. Inhaling, you can feel your hands lift, belly expands. Exhaling, your belly sinks back towards your spine. Your hands might move towards each other. Lovely. Let's walk our feet back into the width of our hips. So now I'll invite you to inhale and extend your right leg up, and then we'll externally rotate. So your right toes point out to the side. Cross your right ankle over your left knee. We'll just take a moment here to reach from right hip out through right knee. And then if and when it feels good to you, we'll take this just a little deeper. You can hug your left knee in. Maybe just using the strength of your abs, maybe you reach through that window formed by your right shin and thigh. Grab the back of your left thigh. Keep drawing it in. And it might feel really good here to rock slightly side to side. Let's release this side. You can let your left foot touch back down. We'll inhale, extend right leg. Exhale, bend your knee. As you inhale, left leg extends, we'll externally rotate. You can cross left ankle over right knee, and let's pause for a moment here, pelvis level, lengthening from inside your left hip to the inside of your left knee. This might be enough for our first variation of pigeon, but you might also want to pick your foot up, hug your belly in. You could use some core strength to stretch out your left hip. Maybe you even grab the back of your right thigh and draw your knee in. You could try rocking a little side to side. That can feel nice as you give yourself a slight massage in your low back. And then eventually we can let the right foot touch back down. Extend your left leg, let your left foot touch back down. Let's ground down into our feet, hug into our bellies. Inhale, lift our hips. Find yourself in a bridge pose. So it doesn't have to be a very big bridge just yet. We're just getting started. You can hug in from inner knees to sit bones. You can press into your feet. Maybe it feels good to press a little more into one foot, drop the opposite hip. We can take a little swing side to side. Eventually, you'll let your hips float back down to the floor. Pick up your feet. Hug your knees into your chest, and we can rock in and out a few times. As you exhale, knees hug in. You might feel your hips lift off the floor. As you inhale, knees rock away. And then moving from here to circling our knees. You can hug your knees in and then take them wide, press them away, and bring them back together. Hug them in, take them wide, press them out, bring them back together. One more time circling this way, and then we'll reverse, taking your knees in towards your shoulders. And then hug your thighs together, press your knees away. Take your knees wide, hug them in towards your shoulders, press them away. We can do a couple more circles in this direction. And finally, you'll hug your knees into your chest. You can take your hands around behind your thighs. Let's rock and roll a little bit. You're going to rock back towards your shoulders, forward towards your hips. A massage for your spine. It's also a little bit of core work. And eventually we'll rock all the way up. Let's sit up. You can kind of lean back into your hands or lean back into your elbows. Feet will be about the width of your mat. And we'll start to rock side to side. So now as you rock, knees can come over to the right. You'll roll to the outside of your right hip. Left hip lifts up a little bit. As your knees come to the left, you'll roll into the outside of your left hip, and your right hip lifts up a little bit. So we're getting a gentle twist in our lumbar spine. We're also massaging our outer hip. Beautiful. When you feel ready, you can cross your ankles, rock all the way forward, place your hands under your shoulders. Let's come to all fours and spend some time continuing waking up our spine. You can inhale, lift your hips, lift your heart, lift your head. Exhale, let's hug belly in and round. You can inhale and lengthen. Exhale and round, and you find that the movement, this fluid motion of your spine is really growing from the inhalation and exhalation. The breath initiates the movement. The breath facilitates the movement. And after a few rounds of this cat and cow forward and backward flexion, you might want to get a little curious. You might want to get a little creative. You could circle your hips, you could circle your shoulders, you could take it back to a child's pose, you could rock it forward to a cobra. Anything goes. Find the movements that feel really good to you. And then eventually we'll make our way back. Find all fours. And one leg at a time, tuck your toes, press out through your heel. So you can really stretch all the way down to your heel, back of your knee, back of your calf. Try the other side, flexing your toes under. You might even feel this right into the sole of your foot. Creating length in the backs of your legs. And then when you are ready, you'll find your way back to downward facing dog. You guys are on your own for down dog today. It's going to be a while before I'm able to take weight in my right hand. But you can find your down dogs, and once you get there, you can explore a little bit. So maybe check in with the placement of your hands. Make sure your index fingers are pointing forward, your shoulders are broad, you're grounding into your finger pads. You can check in with the placement of your feet, finding that the midlines of your feet are parallel. You can allow your hips to shift side to side, or you could walk the dog, take weight a little forward, take weight a little back. So a few breaths of exploration. And then you can gradually let those movements get a little more fine-tuned. So you're sort of honing in on what feels like your perfect down dog for today. Once you find that perfect down dog, you'll hold it for 2 deep, steady Ujjayi breaths. Nice. At the end of your next exhalation, you can begin to move your feet forward towards your hands. If they're any way you like, you could roll heel to toe. You could take a couple of big steps. If you're ready to float, you could float. We'll find a half forward fold on the in-breath. As you exhale, find a full forward fold. We'll bring your feet, if they're not already there, to about the width of your hips. I invite you to bend your knees so that you can really spill your pelvis forward. Hug your belly in. Allow yourself to dangle here. And then check in with your feet. So you may find that there's a tendency to roll to the outer edge of your foot, lift your inner arch too much, lift your inner ankle. So if you have that tendency like I do, you can think about lengthening down through your inner ankle and lifting the outer edge of your foot. If you have the opposite effect, where your arches tend to drop and your inner ankles collapse, you're going to lift from inside your arch up through your inner thigh all the way to your sit bone. Let's take 2 more breaths in Uttanasana. Maybe we can draw a little deeper into the pose. And with an inhalation, knees soften, ground your feet, come all the way up. And let's either bring palms together or interlace fingers. You can take a side bend now to the right, reaching your hands to the right, slide your hips to the left, maybe even look up. Inhale to rise, and as you exhale, take the side bend to the other side. You can inhale to rise. We'll exhale to fold. This time, let's straighten into the left leg, bend the right knee. So you'll notice that your left hip kind of lifts up, your right hip drops a little. Keep pressing into the base of your left big toe. And then from this slight tipping in the pelvis, take a twist. You can turn your belly, turn your ribs, turn your chest and shoulders, reach your left arm up. Yeah, let's take one more breath here. As you exhale, unwind and we'll switch. Left knee will bend, right leg straightens. We're pressing into the base of the right big toe, internal rotation in the right hip. There's a tendency or there's a shift of left hip down, right hip up, and you can reach your right arm up. As you exhale, you'll release back to your forward fold. As you inhale, lift to a half forward fold. And with your exhalation, plant your hands, take your feet back and lower. Let's come all the way down to our belly for this first time through. You can ground the tops of your feet, hands out to the side, lift your shoulders, lift the base of your skull, lift into Cobra. And you've got a light touch in your fingertips. Let's take one more breath, keeping the back of our neck long. You can exhale and lower. Inhale, help yourself up to hands and knees. And exhale, take it back to downward facing dog. So now in your downward facing dog, step your left foot just a little closer to the midline of your mat. And we'll cross right leg in front of left. Your right foot will come just off the left edge of your mat. You want to be crossed at the thigh and press back. And hopefully you're feeling this anywhere and maybe everywhere from your glutes all the way down the outside of your right leg. But pressing back in your down dog with thighs crossed. Yes. Beautiful. You can uncross and then switch sides. Right foot steps a little bit towards the midline. Left foot will step in front. Press back. What we're looking for is a stretch from left SI joint all the way through your glutes, all the way to the outside of your left ankle. Nice. You can uncross, come back to your downward facing dog. Let's take a full inhalation here. Bend your knees, look forward, and you'll move your feet to your hands, finding a half forward fold on the in-breath, a full forward fold on the out-breath. We'll inhale, rise, come all the way up. Turning palms forward, elbows can bend. Let's see if we can tip our hands back a little behind our elbows. With external rotation in the shoulders. You'll bend your knees a little bit, core is nice and strong. And as you inhale, it's like there's a support between your shoulder blades. Lift up and over that support into a back bend. Grounding your feet with each exhalation. Back bending a little further with each inhalation. Next in-breath can extend your arms. Exhale, you'll hug your belly in and dive forward to Uttanasana. Inhale, come up halfway, Ardha Uttanasana. Plant your hands, step or float back, take a vinyasa. You're headed back to chaturanga. And then you'll find upward facing dog. Exhale to downward facing dog. Lovely. You can inhale and lift your right foot now. Lift it straight up and back at first. Then try stacking your right hip over your left and start to pull your right heel towards your left hip. You can use your glutes, you can use your hamstrings. You could try some movement here, maybe circling ankle, maybe circling your thigh bone. Try circling one way and then the other. And then you can step your right foot forward. I'll actually demonstrate on my left because I can't do this on my right hand. So we'll step foot forward. This time, rather than back cross just to the edge of your mat, bring it a little farther forward so that it's in line with your hip. You'll roll the sole of the other foot to the mat and lift your left hand. Variation of side plank. Tucking your right shoulder blade under. Lovely. Try one more breath here. And as you exhale, you can bring your hand back down, uncross, and make your way back to downward facing dog. Try the other side. You'll inhale, lift your left foot, hips squared at first. And then try stacking left hip over right. You can bend your knee, you can circle your ankle, use your glutes, use your hamstrings, circle your hip. Lovely. When you inhale, you'll extend your leg. When you exhale, square. Step your foot through. And we want it in line with the hip this time. Left shoulder blade tucking under. Sole of right foot rolls to the mat. Right arm can reach up. Lovely. You can exhale, unwind that twist. Step it back to downward facing dog and take 2 slow, deep breaths. Nice big inhalation through your nose, big exhalation. You can let it go with a sigh if that feels good. Perfect. Next exhalation, we'll bend your knees. You can look forward and move your feet to your hands, finding a half forward fold, find a full forward fold. Let's inhale, rise all the way up. And as you exhale, reach your arms out to the side, palms up. And try to roll your thumbs back a little bit. Maybe you can bring your hands back behind the line of your shoulders in this external rotation in your shoulders. Lovely. We can inhale, reach arms back up overhead. As you exhale, float your hands down by your sides. We've still got our feet the width of our hips here. Moving into Utkatasana, chair pose. So you'll flex your ankles, bend your knees, take your hips back. Flex your ankles, bend your knees, take your hips back. And then hug your belly in, hug your ribs in. Let's take our arms forward and up. Maybe gaze lifts. Try 2 more breaths here. As you exhale, you can part your hands and fold, Uttanasana, standing forward fold. You'll inhale, lift halfway up. Plant your hands, step or float back through your Vinyasa, Chaturanga. And upward facing dog, nice hops. Downward facing dog on your out breath. You can inhale, lift your right foot. This time when you exhale, hug your right knee into your chest and place your foot between your hands. You'll pivot your left heel down to the mat and we'll hold our first warrior for a few breaths. You'll hug your inner thighs in, navel's pulling back towards your spine and that anchors your left heel. Right thigh is sliding forward, arms will reach. And it's like your arms are reaching all the way from your low back. Your lats right here are lengthening the whole way up, all the way to your little fingers. And as we continue to hold, you may find that you can slide a little deeper. So maybe you inch that right foot forward. Maybe you work to drop the head of the right femur down, staying grounded in left heel. We've got 2 breaths left here. With your exhalation, you can fold, reaching down towards the mat and flow it through the Vinyasa. If you're fond of Ekapada Vinyasa, you can leave your right foot off the floor. Nice. So strong, you guys. Lovely. Meeting back in down dog. And then you'll inhale and lift your left foot. Your exhalation steps your left foot forward. Right heel will pivot and plant to the mat. We're headed to Virabhadrasana 1. The right heel is rounded, left thigh sliding forward. We have this anchor. Supporting from the right leg as your left thigh slides into the pose and you can reach up. And as we hold, you may find you get a little more space. So breath by breath, you might want to inch your left foot forward. You can feel the head of your left femur dropping down, but we're not losing the ground in the right foot. We've got 2 breaths left. As you exhale, you'll flow it back through your Vinyasa, stepping back to Chaturanga, and upward facing dog, and downward facing dog. Nice. Beautiful. Let's take 1 more breath in the down dog. And you can bend your knees and look forward, move your feet to your hands. So find a half forward fold, find a full forward fold. We'll inhale, bend our knees, reach down, reach up, Utkatasana. Stay bent in your knees, let your hands float down by your sides. So here, let's take right hand to right hip. We'll pick the left foot up. We'll reach the left hand up. And now as you exhale, cross your left knee behind your right, squat down, and try to touch your left fingers to the floor in front of your right toes. And you'll inhale, stand that back up. Exhale, squat it down, try to touch the floor in front of your right toes. Stand it back up. 3 more like this. Beautiful. When you stand back up, keep your balance. Let's send the left foot way back, high lunge. You're reaching back with your left toes, lightly touch down. Let's find our crescent. Reaching through your left heel, lifting through your left thigh, maybe even take your back bend. You can bend your elbows, lift your heart. With an inhalation, you can extend your arms. Let's extend the right leg and then pivot left heel to the floor. Moving to triangle pose to the right. Feel shift your hips to the left. Right hand will reach forward. Left hand can reach up towards the ceiling. So now I invite you to drop your chin to the hollow at the top of your breastbone and in fact turn your gaze down towards the mat. Let's take left hand now to the back of our heads, base of our skull. Press the base of your skull back towards your left hand. And now bring your left fingertips to your breastbone, point your elbow to the ceiling. Extend your arm, point your fingers to the ceiling, and now turn your gaze up to the top hand. Beautiful. Let's take one more exhalation in Trikonasana. You can inhale, bend your front knee, pick it up to second warrior. We'll take one out breath here. Next inhalation, reverse the warrior. Slide your left hand down your left leg, reach your right hand up. And as you exhale, flow it through the vinyasa. Reach for the floor and step back. Chaturanga and upward facing dog and downward facing dog. Full breath in down dog. Inhalation, full exhalation. Bend your knees, look forward, feet are moving to your hands. Find your half forward fold, find a full forward fold. Inhale, Utkatasana, chair pose. Keeping your knees a little bent, we'll float our arms down. Left hand to left hip, right foot lifts. Right hand lifts our one-legged squats. We're going to cross your right knee behind the left. Squat down, brush your right toes to the or your right fingers to the floor in front of your left toes. We'll inhale, stand up. Exhale to the squat. Inhale, stand up. Exhale to the squat. We've got two more. The next time you stand up, let's set the right foot back. Slowly, in control, extend your right leg, reach your toes back, crescent lunge, elbows can bend, the heart can lift, find the back bend. Well, inhale to pick this up. You'll exhale, pivot your right heel to the floor, straighten your left leg, Trikonasana to the left. So the head or the pelvis is rotating around the head of your left femur. Long and extended in the left side of your waist. Your left hand can rest anywhere on your left leg. I actually like to press the back of my hand into my inner shin. So I'm using core strength to hold myself up. Now I can take chin to the hollow at the top of breastbone. I'm going to take my right hand to the base of my skull and press the base of my skull back towards my hand. I can bring right fingertips to breastbone, point elbow to the ceiling, extend my arm, and then turn my gaze up. You can bend your front knee. Let's pick this up, second warrior. And with your inhalation, slide your right hand down your right leg, reach up. So inhale, back to warrior two, pivot, windmill hands to the floor, and take your vinyasa. Stepping back through chaturanga and upward facing dog and downward facing dog. Beautiful. Meeting back in down dog. Let's take 2 breaths here. And at the end of your next exhalation, you'll bend your knees and look forward. Move your feet to your hands. We'll find a half forward fold. Full forward fold as you exhale. Inhale, bend your knees, reach up, Utkatasana. So we can exhale, extend our legs, release our arms, mountain pose. So now stand on your right foot and you'll cross your left leg in front of your right. It'll probably be on the outer edge of your left foot. So we're just crossing the ankle essentially. Cross right about like this. And we're gonna bow forward here. So you're standing on one foot, other leg is crossed in front, hinging forward. Hello, outer hamstrings. Hello, iliotibial band. Uttanasana with your legs crossed. Beautiful. You can inhale, help yourself back up, and change the cross of your legs. Other leg in front. Crossing, hinging forward. Little balance here. Maybe a little sense of spreading sitting bones wide. You can inhale, stand it back up. Let's step back. This time, inner edges of feet touching. Back to Utkatasana. Flexing in the ankles, bending knees, hips draw back, heart draws forward and up. Extend, chair pose. Exhale and fold to Uttanasana. Let's inhale halfway up. You can plant your hands, step or float, take it back through your vinyasa. Back to chaturanga. An upward facing dog. And a downward facing dog. You can inhale to lift your right foot. Exhale, step your right foot forward. We'll take left heel to the floor. We'll inhale up, Virabhadrasana 1. And this time as you exhale, try to hook your right hip with your right thumb or the heel of your hand. We'll draw this hip back as we bow forward. Pyramid pose, Parshvattanasana. Maybe you've got your left hand on something. It could be a block, it could be the floor. We'll try to point tailbone towards the back of your mat. Notice there's a tendency often for the big toe side of your foot to peel up. That kind of relieves some of the stretch in your hip. So do your best to press your big toe down. Work internal rotation in your right leg. Draw this right sitting bone up and back. We'll take one more breath, bowing over the right leg. And you can inhale, get nice and long here. So if you're working with a block, you can lift up onto your fingertips. We're reaching heart forward, crown forward. With the exhalation, revolved triangle. Ooh, turning your ribs, lower left ribs, moving towards right hip. Twisting, maybe right shoulder comes up over the left. Maybe elbow reaches for the ceiling, maybe hand reaches for the ceiling. But as you reach your hand up, working fingertips towards the ceiling, that's coming not from your shoulder, it's coming all the way from your belly. Let's take one more breath here. As you exhale, you'll unwind. You can inhale, bend your front knee, pivot onto your back toes, and exhale, take your vinyasa. You're stepping back to chaturanga, an upward facing dog, and downward facing dog. Beautiful. From downward facing dog, you can inhale and lift your left foot. As you exhale, you'll step it forward. It's coming forward between your hands. Right heel pivots to the floor. Let's pick our arms up. First warrior. And now we again hook this hip. You can use the heel of your hand. You can use your thumb. We want to draw the left thigh bone down, left hip back, and hinge forward. Pelvis is tipping around the head of the left femur as we bow to Parshvattanasana. So noticing where your tailbone is, the tendency is for tailbone to pull over to the left. We want to turn tailbone to point to the back of your mat. We want to lift navel. Another tendency is for the base of the left big toe to lift up. You can press down there, work internal rotation in your left hip. And let's take 2 more breaths here. You'll inhale, get nice and long in the front of your spine. Right hand is resting on something. We'll start to turn to the left now, lower right ribs, moving towards left hip. And this twist is driven from your belly. Maybe left shoulder comes over the right. Maybe left elbow reaches for the ceiling. Maybe left hand reaches for the ceiling. Ardha Chandrasana, revolved triangle pose. As you exhale, you can unwind that twist. You'll inhale, bend your front knee, and exhale. Oh, take your vinyasa. Chaturanga never felt so good. I love taking chaturanga after revolved triangle. Flowing through the sequence, moving back in downward facing dog. Beautiful, and then you can inhale forward to plank. As you exhale, come right down onto your belly. So lower to our bellies. And then you'll prop yourself up on your left elbow. Angle your palm across. We'll bend right knee. And this might already be enough stretch. You could stay right here. Right knee bent. You could loop a strap. You could reach back and hook your foot with your right hand. Trying to pull your right heel in towards your right glutes. Beautiful. If anyone wants a little more back bend, you can also try floating your left elbow here. We'll lower back down to our bellies. You can prop up now on your right elbow, angling your forearm across. Left knee can bend. This might be enough. You could reach back, grab your ankle, start to pull your heel in. Maybe lift your heart. I can't do it on this side, but you could even float your right elbow. Nice, you can release your foot, come back down to your belly. Options now, you could simply lift up to hands and knees and press back to downward dog. If you love chaturanga, see if you can lift from here straight into your chaturanga. Hands will come right next to your ribs, elbows right over your wrists. You lift up to your chaturanga, flow through vinyasa, forward to upward facing dog, and back to downward facing dog. Nice and strong, everyone, you look amazing. So we'll meet back in downward facing dog. You can inhale and lift your right foot. Lift it straight up and back. You can stack your hips, bend your knee. And if you'd like wild thing, try flipping it over. You can take a nice, big, deep back bend here. Yes. So you flipped it over into wild thing, flip it back. We're headed back to three-legged down dog. You can hug your right knee into your chest. As you exhale, place your right foot between your hands. We'll inhale, come up to standing. Exhale, Trikonasana to the right. Hips are headed to the left. Torso is headed to the right. Left hand to left hip. Turn your gaze down. Bend your right knee. Get light in your left toes. Try to float your left foot. Ardha Chandrasana. Yeah, let's take one more breath in the half moon. And slowly, in control, step it back. Right knee bends, left foot releases to the mat. Let's take one inhalation here and exhale through your vinyasa, reaching for the floor, step it back. Chaturanga, and upward dog, and downward dog. Left foot lifts with the in-breath. You can stack your hips, bend your knee, flip it right over if that feels good to you. And if you're in the wild thing, flip it back. Headed back to three-legged down dog. Step forward, left knee into your chest. Left foot plants, right heel plants. Inhale, stand up, both legs straight. Exhale, Trikonasana to the left. You're reaching through your left hand. Right hand can find your right hip. You'll bend your left knee, get light in your right toes, rock over, float your right foot, Ardha Chandrasana. And you can turn your gaze back down towards the floor, bend your left knee, step your right foot back. We'll take an inhalation here. Exhale, flow it through your vinyasa. Back to chaturanga. And upward facing dog. And downward facing dog. So take a breath in your down dog. And then you can inhale and lift your right foot. Lift it straight up and back. And as you exhale, shift forward. Take your right knee to your chest and hold it there, three-legged plank. Beautiful. Inhale, press back. Exhale, shift forward. Take your right knee towards your right shoulder and hold it there. Yeah, inhale, press it back. Exhale, shift forward, take your right knee towards your left shoulder and hold it there. Inhale, press it back. Exhale, shift forward, right knee into your chest, and now rotate your thigh bone for pigeon pose. So that will swing your right knee behind your right wrist. Your right heel will be just under your left hip, and then set your shin down. Set your left knee down, and now make sure you put your right knee in line with your right hip. We'll start to work our way into the pigeon pose by inching the left leg back. You can tuck your toes, lift your knees, slide your hips back. Hips will get as close to the floor as they reasonably can while still level. And if you have a prop and you need a little support, you can slide something under your right hip. Otherwise, let's just walk our hands out in front a little bit and see if we can imagine doing Cobra Pose in our torso as we've got pigeon pose in our legs. So you can plant hands, draw your heart forward and up, get some extension. And then from here, let yourself melt forward, coming as deeply as you like, maybe to your elbows, maybe to your forehead. Maybe you stay on the palms of your hands. We're going to be here for about another minute, really letting ourselves melt into the pigeon pose. This is one of those poses that it takes a good minute for our bodies to start to recognize the benefits of it. It takes a while to let these muscles go, so we'll be patient here. Anyone feels like taking this a little deeper, maybe adding a twist? You can slide your left arm under your chest over to the right, maybe turn your head to the right too. Somewhere in our next few breaths, if you're in the twist, you can unwind. We'll take an exhalation here to lift belly and start to prepare to lift. And we'll begin to walk our way up into the back bend again on the in-breath. You can walk up. Maybe this is your pose. You can lift your hands a little higher onto blocks. You can even bend your left knee and reach back with one or both hands to find your ankle. You could work towards the mermaid pose, maybe hooking your left toes into the crease of your left elbow. If you've got a hold of your foot, release it with an exhalation. We'll bring hands back down to the floor. You can inch your left knee in a little bit, and then plant your hands, plant your left toes, pick yourself up and back to a three-legged down dog, and make whatever movements you like in your right hip. You can circle, you can bicycle, you can bend and straighten that leg, whatever you need. And eventually, right foot will step back down. We'll take a moment in downward facing dog. And then you can inhale and lift your left foot straight up and back. As you exhale, you'll shift forward, left knee into your chest, hold it there. Yeah, inhale, press it back. Exhale, you'll shift forward, left knee towards left shoulder, hold it there. Inhale and press back. Exhale, you'll shift forward, left knee toward right shoulder, hold it there. Inhale and press back. Exhale, last time into your plank. This time, rotate your left thigh bone toward pigeon pose. So we'll end up with the left knee behind left wrist, left foot under right hip. You can set your shin down. Now set your right knee down and work your way into the pose by inching your hips and your right leg back. We're keeping our hips as squared as possible, maybe even placing some support underneath your left hip. Fix your hands as if you were going to do Cobra Pose. Elbows hug in. Draw your heart forward. Extend yourself up and out of your hips into this pose. And then we can drape our spines forward into the forward fold version of pigeon. Coming down as low as feels good to you. Finding a place that you can hold for at least a minute. We'll settle in, find some contentment. Maybe find some relaxation, particularly in your face and your jaw. There might be a little space between your back teeth. Just a gentle whisper to your breath, not too strong. And if anyone wants the twist, you can slide your right arm under your chest, over to the left, maybe turn your right ear down towards the floor. Somewhere in your next few breaths, you can begin to make your way out of the pose. If you're in the twist, you'll inhale and lift yourself up. Let's all exhale and lift our bellies, preparing for the back bend. Walk your hands in as you inhale, and this might be your pose. You can just walk your hands in front of or on top of your left shin. You can consider bending your right knee. You might reach back with one or both hands. Maybe you can grab your foot. Don't know if I can do it on this side. Maybe you can tuck your toes into the crease of your elbow for the mermaid pose. Beautiful. If you've got a hold of your foot, let it go. Let's work our way back out of the pose. Hands will plant down into the floor. You can inch your hips a little forward. Right toes tuck, pick yourself up and press back. Three-legged down dog. Make whatever movements your left hip needs. Big circles, you could bicycle, bend and straighten, whatever feels good. Fantastic. All right, returning to downward facing dog. Let's take a big inhalation here. Complete exhalation. You can inhale forward to hands and knees. And then exhale, sit back on your heels. We'll take our hips to one side, feet out in front. If you have a strap, grab it. We're rolling down onto our backs. So from here, laying down on your back, if you're working with the strap loops around your right foot. We want enough strap that your arms can be straight, your shoulders can rest on the floor, your right leg can be straight, and you're not pressing your low back into the mat, but there's a little space between your lumbar spine and the floor. So working here, and then eventually left leg comes out straight along the mat. Your left thigh is heavy. We'll just gradually encourage your right leg towards you. We're looking for flexion in this right hip. So if you're pulling your right leg in by letting your tailbone point to the ceiling, you're cheating yourself out of the stretch. If you can let your pelvis stay level, left leg stay long, and we narrow the angle at the right hip, then we get all sorts of beautiful extension in the back of the right leg. So moving from here now into another iliotibial band stretch, we're going to keep our hips level and just move the right foot about 6 inches over to the left. So maybe your right foot is now hovering over your left hip, but your right hip is staying heavy, and we've got a big stretch on the outside of the right leg. Moving from here all the way into the twist. So now we bend left knee. You'll plank your foot into the floor, lift your hips so you can inch them about 6 or 8 inches over to the right. Re-extend your left leg. And now we let the right leg come all the way across to the left side. My right hip is coming off the floor. I'm rolling onto the outside of my left leg. Right foot is reaching out to the left side of my mat. Some of you might even be able to touch that right foot down. Mine doesn't quite make it to the floor. We try to let our right shoulder stay heavy. Let's take 2 more slow breaths here. As we're winding up our practice, maybe your breath is getting slower. We can inhale, roll back to our backs. You'll shift your hips back to center. Release your right foot from the strap. Bend your knee, just float your foot down next to your left. And take a moment to feel the 2 sides. They might feel a little different after an asymmetrical series. So this is a chance to let the 2 sides equilibrate a little bit. And we'll move over to the left side, moving the strap around the sole of your left foot. We have that little bit of lift in the lumbar spine. So we're not pressing low back into the floor, but there's just a little curve. And we can take the strap into both hands. We've got arms straight, shoulders resting on the floor, left leg straight, right leg eventually reaches out along the floor, and we deepen this pose by gradually encouraging left leg towards us, but making sure that that's coming from a flexion in the hip, not from tipping the pelvis. We'll give this another breath or two. And then we can move left leg about 6 inches to the right, but your pelvis stays level. So what we're trying for here is extension along the whole outside of your left leg. Moving this into the twist, you can bend your right knee now, sole of your foot comes to the mat. We'll lift hips, scoop them 6 to 8 inches over to the left, re-extend your right leg, and we come all the way into the twist. Left leg comes across your body, left hip comes off the floor. Moving the strap into your right hand. See if you can keep your left shoulder heavy, maybe even turn your head to the left, and we'll hold here. With your inhalation, make your way back to the center. You can bend your right knee, shift your hips back to center, release the strap from your left foot floats down. Let's pause in this neutral symmetrical position and notice how this feels. Finally, you'll pick up your feet, hug your knees in towards your shoulders, soles of your feet up to the ceiling, happy baby pose. Maybe just hang out here. You could try extending one leg and you can extend both legs. You can rock side to side. And if there are any other movements your body is craving before you find Shavasana, make the movements that would complete your practice. If you are ready for Shavasana, you can let your feet go. Extend your legs long and find a place to rest. Make your way now, if you haven't already, into the position that will help you to integrate all of the work that we've done in this practice. Allow yourself to rest into the support of the earth beneath you. If there's any remaining tension or work going on in your body, consciously let it go. And likewise, you can release the control and effort in your breath. Let it flow in and out of its own accord. And you'll notice maybe pauses, gentle pauses developing between the inhalation and the exhalation. You can explore into those pauses, finding the stillness and the richness and the silence. Maybe even deeper and almost sound. There's a sound profound and deep and just beyond the edge of hearing. Basically the sound of prana, the sound of vitality. It's called nada. And you can listen inward for that nada sound. Let that draw you deeper and deeper into your meditation. And now gently allowing your attention to expand outward from the depth and profundity of that inner sound to the sensations through your body, to the audible sound of your breath, to an awareness of the space around you, the support beneath you, the air on your skin, the soft light filtering through your eyelids, the sounds that you might hear around you. And as you come out of the depth of your meditation back to meet the outer world, begin to deepen your breath. And begin to bring some movement back. Fingers and toes can wiggle, hands and feet can move, arms and legs can reawaken. We'll gradually come back to light. And eventually your growing movements will carry you over to one side. And you can rest there on your side for a few breaths, giving yourself an opportunity to make this transition back to the outer world. When you're ready to come up to sitting, you can place your hands on the floor. Help yourself up. Come up to a comfortable seat. We'll just take a moment here and noticing what you feel and how you feel now. Checking in with the activity of your mind, checking in with the sensations in your body. And finally, you can turn your palms out to the side and with an inhalation, float your arms up and overhead. With your exhalation, bring your hands down the midline of your body to your heart. Anjali Mudra. Let's close with the sound of Om. You're welcome to chant wherever you are. You're welcome to sit and listen if that feels better to you. If you'd like to join me, we'll inhale together and begin. Thank you all so much for sharing your practice this morning. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Namaste. Nice work.